just going to be exploring the equation of a circle and also defining some of the key properties of what a circle is. So in order to do this and to think about the equation of a circle logically, what we need to do is we need to have a solid definition, and that would simply be that every single point on a circle would be an equal distance away from the centre point. So the actual definition would be all points lie at an equal distance from a centre point. And if we think about drawing a circle, we can see that this is the case, because if I draw one based at the origin, every single point is going to be the radius distance away from the centre. So to think about how we can get the equation of a circle from this, I'm going to first of all indicate a point, and that's just going to have an x coordinate and a y coordinate, and it's got this centre point here. Now, because the centre of this point is at the origin, if I want to draw a line out to the circumference of a circle, that would indicate that I am looking at the radius, and also I would know how far along I've gone and how far up I've gone, which would be x and y. So if I just take this triangle in isolation and I just draw it down here, there are a few key things that we need to know. So we've got the radius, we've got x and y, and luckily we know that this must be a right angle triangle due to the property that the x-axis and the y-axis are perpendicular. So looking at this would be true for wherever we are on the circumference. We would simply get an equation for this circle here, which is centred at the origin, to be, well, how can I link these together? Well, thinking about Pythagoras, I would indicate that I have x squared plus y squared is going to be equal to my radius squared. And if I think about this triangle, that works for this point. And if I think of a point moving round, it would also work in unison for any point. I want us to now think about what happens if I move my circle across and down, and my centre, let's say, is now here, and I'm just going to give it a coordinate of -2, -1. What would the equation of this circle be? Well, if we think back to last video where we looked at graph transformations, a transformation of -2 on the x-axis would be a translation of my x plus 2, because if my value is -2, that will take this section to 0, which would be the same as the origin. Likewise, with the y, it would be y plus 1 squared. And as my circle has remained the same distance away, my radius would remain the same. So bringing on to our general form of a circle, let's just say if I have a coordinate which is a, b, and a length of r for my radius, we would indicate that as x subtract a squared plus y subtract b squared equals our radius squared. So I'd like you to pause it now, please, and I'd just like you to write down this definition here. X subtract a squared plus y subtract b squared would be equal to our radius squared. We're going to use this now to have a go at a question. So quite often in an A-level exam, they will give you the equation of a circle, however, it won't be in the standard form, and we still need to be able to pick out the radius and the centre point from it. So find the centre and the radius of a circle, which is given by the equation x squared plus y squared subtract 14x plus 16y equals 12. So I know I want to write this into this form because that will be incredibly easy for me to just pick out my a and my b and also my radius. So looking at this, I'm first of all going to think, how can I get x squared minus 14x into an x subtract something form? So I'm just going to isolate that x squared minus 14x, and I know I can work that out by completing the square to be x subtract 7 squared, and that's going to have to be subtracting 49. And likewise, I can do it with the y, so y squared plus 16y, I can rewrite as y add 8 squared subtract 64. So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller so I've got a bit more room. But now I'm going to use this idea and substitute it in. So instead of having x squared minus 14x, I'm going to replace it with this completed for square form. And same thing with the y squared add 16y. So when I do that, I will end up with an x subtract 7 squared minus 49. I would get a plus y plus 8 squared subtract 64, and then I'm going to take this 12 across, so subtract 12, well that would equal 0. Collecting my values together, my constant terms, I'd get x subtract 7 squared plus y plus 8 squared, 49 subtract 64 subtract 12 is going to be 125, so take away 125 equals 0. And then just by adding across 125 to both sides, I'm going to get equals positive 125. So to pick out my centre point and my radius from this, I would get a centre point of 7 and negative 8. So my centre would be equal to that. And my radius, well, that would just be, if 125 is my radius squared, the radius would be the square root of 125, and that's going to be 5 root 5. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to pause the video and have a go at finding out the centre point and the radius for these types of questions, being very careful to make sure at each step that you're going to get it into this final form of x subtract a squared plus y subtract b squared equals our radius squared. So if you could pause it now and have a go at the questions A, B, C, D and E. Okay, and once you've had a go at them, the answers are here and I'd just like you to mark it yourself. That will conclude this video. If you have any feedback or if there's anything you're not quite sure on, please let me know in the comment section below, or if you feel free to, or you can feel free to email me. But thank you very much for watching.